Welcome. Today's practice will focus on cultivating self-compassion. This feel-good flow will focus on opening through the heart center as well as working on your sense of balance, giving you a chance to show yourself self-compassion while holding some more difficult poses. You may want a yoga block or a book will work as well for added support. And then if you are ready, we will begin in a child's pose at the back of your mat. Bringing your knees out wide, about to the width of the mat, tailbone to heels, hands outstretched in front of you, and take a moment to arrive. Bring your attention to your breath, to the present moment, and just check in with yourself. Check in with how you're doing today, how you're feeling. Maybe setting an intention for the practice. Maybe that is to show yourself some more self-compassion or self-love. Maybe it's to release tension, to release anxiety. I'd also like to offer an affirmation that you can repeat in your mind if your mind ever starts to wander throughout the practice. And that affirmation is, I am loving to myself and others. I am loving to myself and others. Take another breath or two here. And on your next exhale, bring your hands to the right, towards the right corner of your mat, taking a side stretch, stretching out the left side of the body, breathing into that left side. Take one more deep breath here. And then bring your hands to center, and then switching to the other side of the mat. Now is the time that you can start your Ujjayi breath. And if you're not familiar with that, it's a breath done by breathing in through the nose and then on the exhale, slightly constricting the back of your throat. You can imagine like you are fogging up a mirror, and that creates a ocean-like sound in the back of your throat. This helps to relax the body and to keep your mind in the present moment. Bringing your hands back to center and rising up to a hands and knees position. Shoulders over hands, hips over knees. And we're going to take a few spinal rolls, slightly arching through the spine back into child's pose and rounding up to all fours. Inhale, going back. Exhale, arching forward. Kind of like a cat-cow position, but a little bit more fluid. Just warming up through the spine. And then taking any organic movement that feels good to your body. Maybe that's some more spinal rolls, some circles with the spine. Be stretching side to side. And on your next exhale, bringing your hands forward closer to the top of the mat and melting your chest down towards the mat into puppy pose, keeping your hips above the knees and opening through the chest, through the shoulders. If this is too much, you can take a block and put it underneath your head, or you can also take a folded up blanket underneath your knees if that's too much pressure on your knees. Whatever modifications you need to take, just listening to your body, what feels good for it today. On your next exhale, moving forward into Sphinx position. Shoulders are over the elbows. And taking a head roll towards the right, just 2 rolls in one direction, stretching through the neck, through the scalenes, and to the opposite side. Opposite direction. On your next exhale, push back into child's pose. Taking a breath, and on your exhale, reaching your arms behind your back, clasping the fingers, and letting your hands fall towards the front of the mat. An option to flow here up to your knees and then back down to child's pose, letting the hands fall towards the front of the mat, or you can just stay in child's pose, whichever feels right to you today. And taking one more breath here. Then bringing your hands forward into child's pose, lifting into all fours position, tucking the toes and lifting the tailbone to downward facing dog. Since this is the first downward facing dog, you can keep a generous bend in the knees and maybe walk out the downward facing dog, bending one knee and straightening the other, warming up through the hamstrings. Looking towards the top of the mat, stepping into a forward fold and rising up one vertebra at a time. Inhale, arms up towards the sky. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. And into Utkatasana, or chair pose, sinking the tailbone back just like you are sitting in a chair, arms up, core strong. It's a powerful pose. Rising up into standing position, forward fold, halfway lift, hands to the mat, step back, plank position, take a flow, chaturanga, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot steps towards the front of the mat, left foot at a 45-degree angle, open through the chest and give yourself a hug. Inhale, open through the chest. Exhale, hug, alternating which arm is on top. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, hands to the mat. Stepping back into plank position. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. This time, left foot steps forward. Right foot at a 45-degree angle, warrior one. Inhaling, opening through the heart. Exhaling, giving yourself a hug. Just showing yourself some self-love, self-compassion. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to the mat and take a flow. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, and look between your hands, step or hop to the front of the mat, into a forward fold, rise up, and then back into Utkatasana, or chair pose. Strong in the core and arms, sinking back and standing up. Just taking a breath here, and on your next inhale, raising the arms up towards the sky. Exhale, arms down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, right foot reaches back, right knee to the ground in a low lunge. Left arm reaching back towards the leg, right arm reaching towards the sky. breathing into the stretch, stretching through the psoas, cartwheeling your arms to frame the foot, lifting up into high lunge, stepping back into plank position and taking a flow, meeting in downward facing dog, stepping your left foot forward to the top of the mat and lowering the right knee to the mat. This time, right arm reaches back towards the right leg, left arm reaches towards the sky in a low lunge, stretching through the psoas on this side. Taking a breath here. On your next exhale, cartwheeling the arms to frame the foot, rising up to a high lunge and stepping the right foot to meet the left. Forward fold, halfway lift, forward fold. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Inhale once more, arms reach up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Hands to the ground, step back into plank position, and then lifting up into downward facing dog. And lowering the knees, coming into a kneeling position. On your knees. Knees are hip width apart. Hands come around the back. Pinkies close to touch. Elbows come closer together. And heart reaching forward. Active through the core. Head looking up if that's comfortable. Breathing into the position. In these more difficult positions, just breathe and soothe. Then lowering back down, tailbone to feet, just neutralizing through the spine, and then reaching forward, releasing into child's pose. Taking a breath here. Forward onto your belly, hands extended in front of you, feet behind you, lifting your left arm, right leg, and then alternating right arm, left leg. Just going to take a total of 8, so 3, 4, right arm, left leg, 5, left arm, 6, 7, and last one, 8. Take a breath here, and then bend your left knee, left hand grabs left ankle or toe, bringing the foot towards your glute in a quad stretch. You can either stay here or lift up into half bow, pushing the foot into the hand, lifting up, chest open, and release back down. Taking a breath here, neutralizing through the spine, and now bending the right knee, right arm reaches behind, pulling the foot to the glute. You can stay here or again lifting up into half bow. Activating through the glute, through the back. And one more breath and release down. Releasing the foot, taking another moment to neutralize through the spine, and then taking full bow if it's within your practice, bending both knees, both hands reach back, grabbing toes or ankles and lifting up, pressing feet into hands, knees come close together, and opening through the chest, breathing into the stretch. front of the mat. This is where you might want a block or a book if you have one handy, and transferring the weight into the left foot reaches up and back behind you into a standing split. Hands can either be on the mat or on a block, bringing the ground closer to you. Bottom leg is slightly bent, but coming towards straight, and the left leg is just reach out up any amount. Now rising up to warrior 3, back is flat, hands can be to heart center, straight behind or in front. Finding a non-moving point to set your gaze on, what they call a drishti, and strong core raising to standing, bending the left knee, grabbing the left hand with the left foot with your left hand, pushing into the foot, leaning slightly forward into dancer's pose, or option to just stay in the quad stretch, bringing the left heel to glute, whatever is most comfortable to you. Rising back up to standing and shaking out the legs, and coming to the other side, transferring the weight now into the left leg. Right foot now reaches up and back into standing split. Just feeling the stretch through the hamstring, breathing into it, and rising up into warrior 3, finding that point of focus, the drishti point. In the pose, just breathing, focusing on the breath, calming and soothing while you're in a more difficult posture. And strong core, lifting up to standing, taking dancer's pose, bending the right knee into a quad stretch, staying here, or lifting up into dancer's pose. Finding your balance, and it's okay if you lose your balance or even fall. Just show yourself some compassion, especially if you're on a uneven surface like I am. Just coming back into it, and then releasing the pose, shaking out the legs, coming into mountain pose, and just taking a breath here. And coming to your tippy toes and lowering down as slowly as possible until your glutes come to touch your heels, staying in tippy toes and giving yourself a hug. Showing yourself some self-love by giving yourself a hug. Taking one more deep breath here. Then on your next exhale, lowering the heels and coming down to the mat, lowering one vertebrae at a time down to your back. Soles of the feet are on the mat. Right leg lifts up, right heel above left knee, coming into figure 4, sweeping the arms between the legs, clasping fingers behind the left thigh, gently pulling towards the chest, keeping the right foot flexed to protect the knee, and breathing into the stretch. If this isn't enough of a stretch, you can always bring the right elbow and put some pressure against that right thigh, just pushing that leg a little bit farther. Just going as far as feels good to your body. Now releasing the pose and coming to the opposite side, this time left ankle above right knee, sweeping the arms between the legs, clasping behind the right thigh, gently pulling towards the chest, breathing into the stretch. Checking in once more with how this feels on the body, and maybe comparing to how it felt on the other side. Just breathing on every exhale, releasing a little bit farther. One more deep breath here, then bringing your feet towards the sky, legs extended straight, and let your legs fall to the sides into a splits position, using your arms either to support underneath if this is too much of a stretch, or either to add gentle pressure if you would like more of a stretch, just listening to your body, never pushing too far. Just breathing into the pose, releasing more and more with every exhale. Taking one more breath, and then bringing the knees back to the chest and taking any movements now that you need before Shavasana. Maybe taking hip circles, rocking side to side, maybe a spinal twist, whatever you need. And then whenever you're ready, no rush, extending your legs into Shavasana, letting your arms fall to the side, releasing any tension and releasing any kind of breath control. Just letting the body relax, letting the mind relax. And I will let you know when it's time to come out. Begin to bring your awareness back to your body lying on the mat. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe taking a full body stretch if that feels good. And rolling to one side, just taking your time, meeting me in a comfortable seated position. Take a breath here, and on your next inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. On the exhale, bringing your hands to your heart, connecting to the self once more. Thomas More once said, "Being a friend to yourself is no mere metaphor or purely sentimental idea. It is the basis of all relationship because it is a fundamental recognition of self." I hope you can bring this idea into the rest of your day and into your life. Taking another inhale and reaching the arms up to the sky. And into Anjali Mudra, bringing the hands to heart center. Namaste, and I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. I'll see you soon.